Paisanos, it's Joe Grotesque, back for the second half of Season 8 of Retro Cynical. Man, it is great to be back. I really missed you guys. I've got a pretty epic episode in store for you guys and gals. First, we're going to be talking about a game that really doesn't get brought up very much when you're talking about the fighting game genre, but it's an integral part of SNK's fighting game history. It's called Steet Smart. Let's take a look. Steet Smart was originally released in 1989 by SNK as an arcade game, but the version we're talking about today was released through a company called Treco for the Genesis or MegaDrive home console in 1991. You play as Karate Man, or the wrestler who I'll show you later, and you fight on the street. Okay, it doesn't help the fact that this guy looks kind of like Ryu. Not to mention the fact that in the arcade version, Karate Man wears a white gi, making him look even more like Ryu. But that aside, Steet Smart has an interesting place in fighting game history. A very noticeable aspect of this game is the fact that it's a hybrid, having a beat-em-up style of gameplay, as far as the perspective of the characters anyway. In addition, it also has scrolling stages, which is cool. Now, if I could only get past the fact that the gameplay is so flawed. The hit detection on this one is weird. Actually kind of bad. Maybe not Karate Champ bad, but definitely subpar. Man, I don't think I was ever able to land a jump kick on any of my opponents. This can make things pretty aggravating at times. Despite this, there's still some pretty cool elements to this game, like the ability to bet money before a fight. And you can even bet against yourself and bet on the opponent instead, which you might actually want to do until you get the hang of things. Another thing I like is how massive some of the enemy fighters are. So I'm going to do something I don't normally do in a review and show you the final boss. But this is only because he looks a lot like Sagat from Street Fighter. Yeah, he definitely looks like Sagat. Sagat. Man, this just goes by so fast. Here's the most common ending to the game, though there are multiples, a bad ending and a better ending. Oh, and here's the other playable character, who I don't really care for. But all in all, Steet Smart isn't an incredible game by any means, but you can definitely see it being the roots of other SNK games like Fatal Fury. You thought it was over? It's so not. Let's take a look at my epic pickups that I picked up recently. Now, this first game is for the NES and it's called Trog. Some of you may be more than familiar with Trog. It follows kind of the Pac-Man maze sort of format, but has its own style of gameplay and it's pretty fun. Up next is Ninja Crusaders. Now, if you're looking for a game that has a pretty decent level of difficulty, Ninja Crusaders is your game. It can be pretty fun, but also really frustrating at the same time, but I like it, and it's uncommon. Up next is Out of This World. Now this game was ahead of its time as far as the graphics go, and it's pretty difficult, but you can really get lost in the gameplay. Now for the Sega Genesis we have Mega Man The Wily Wars. Now this is a reproduction cartridge for the Sega Genesis version of Mega Man that was never released in the United States. And it's the first 3 Mega Man games, but way harder. I love the cover art. Up next is Gremlins for the Atari 2600. Now this game gets incredibly difficult because it gets faster and faster as it goes along. It's also one of the more uncommon Atari games. Oh, look at Gizmo. Now this is the infamous Custer's Revenge. I've always wanted this for my Atari collection for whatever reason. And it's a pretty terrible game when you really think about it, but it's one of those unique pieces that every Atari collection should have. So one thing that I picked up that I didn't include in that little video because it was a peripheral and not a game is the sweet Sega Menacer. Man, I've always kind of wanted one of these, and now that I have one, I'm just kind of in awe of it. Still packs a punch after all these years, too. Well, guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoy this little extended episode. If you want to see longer episodes, let me know in the comments. And if any of you have ever heard of Steet Smart, please start a discussion down in the comments below. But anyway, thanks for watching, take care, and we'll see you next time, brother! What, you're still here? Well, good. Very good, because if you stuck around, you're gonna get to see a really cool magic trick. I'm gonna read your mind. Now, what I need you to do is get about 2 or 3 inches away from your computer monitor or mobile device and look at me directly in the eyes. Now I want you to think of a number. Any number will do. And project your thoughts into my thoughts. Focus. Look very closely into my eyes. You would think it a 69.